Hello, welcome to the video. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is for you. I'm going to be reading to you Matthew chapter 7 in the King James Version of the Bible. And I'm also going to be adding a commentary or like a study at the end. Alright, starting off here. So this has 29 verses. The majority of the majority of the chapter is Jesus talking, except for the last two verses here. Alright, so starting off, verse 1 says, "Judge not, that ye be not judged, for with judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, and with what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considereth not the beam that is in thine own eye? Or how wouldst thou say to thy brother, Let me pull out the mote of thine eye, and behold, the beam is in thine own eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye pearls before the swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn again to rend you." Rend in this context meaning to tear up or to attack. Verse 7, "Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For every one that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. Or what man is there of you, whom if his son ask bread, will he give him a stone? Or if he ask a fish, will he give him a serpent? If ye then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them which ask of him? Therefore all good things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them, for this is the law and the prophets. Enter ye at the strait gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go thereat. Because strait is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns, or figs, or thistles? Even so every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire." So hewn in this context is talking about kind of how when you trim a tree, or like when you get like an axe or like a machete, chainsaw, whatever it'll be, and you cut a tree down, or you trim the tree down to be your preferred size or shape. Alright. "Therefore by their fruits ye shall know them." I'll pump it back. Okay, I'm good. I'm back then, Pop. That sucks. Verse 21. "Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works. And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And every one that heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them not, shall be likened unto a foolish man, which build his house upon the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell not. And great was the fall of it. And it came to pass, when Jesus had ended these sayings, the people were astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one having authority, and not as the scribes. So as I already told you, the majority of that chapter is Jesus speaking. Here at the very end is just a little bit of the context of like what's actually happening around them. It's like at the end of the speech, they're just kind of like amazed by what he's saying and how he's speaking, which tends to be, at least from what I've read, a common occurrence when Jesus goes off like this, and when he's talking and giving these sermons and these speeches, or whatever you want to call them. When he goes off like this, it appears to be the majority of the time people are just astonished. They're just blown back to like, whoa, like groundbreaking stuff here. And I'm not going to sit here and say that's not groundbreaking. It is groundbreaking. It's amazing. And so I'm going to go through here and kind of break this down into chunks, because this is a lot to take in one little go. Alright. So starting off, verse 1 says, Judge not, that ye be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. With what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. So this is not giving us instruction to not go out here and blatantly accept evil. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not one to judge. Move on with my life. Whatever. Right? No, it's saying that whatever you judge with will be judged to you. Let's say if I go out here, I'll just use the next verse for the example. I was going to use this. I guess it says, And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, and considerest not the beam that is in thy own eye? So it's about hypocrisy here, going out and, let's say, if I was to preach against working on the Sabbath, that would be, and then I would go out and then I would critique and try to get onto the people who do work on Sabbath while I'm preaching against it, but I myself also work on the Sabbath. That's what that is kind of talking about here. And it also isn't talking about just blatantly accepting evil, as many people would like to have you believe, because there'll be people who will grab that verse and then they'll just throw it out there and they don't like what you're saying. So if you go out and you preach against sin of any kind, no matter what kind it is, they'll say, judge not. They won't even read the whole verse, so they'll just say, judge not. Jesus says, judge not, so therefore, leave me alone. But the Bible also gives us instructions on how to judge properly. Moving on, verse 4. Well, not yet. So, judge when necessary, when it won't be hypocritical, and judge properly according to the Scripture. A good place to use would be, I believe, James. And James is a good one. correct me if I'm wrong if it's not James. I believe James has good instructions on proper judgment. It's either James or it's Hebrews. James or Hebrews. It's one of those two, probably both. Now, verse 4, it says, "Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, Let me pull out the mote of thine eye, and behold, a beam is in thine own eye?" So, like I said, the whole thing about going against working on the Sabbath. If I was one to go out and work on the Sabbath, and then I would go up to someone who's also working on the Sabbath, say, "Oh, how dare you to also not to do that," but I myself am doing that. Or let's say there's someone who their car broke down on the side of the road, and so I see them working on their car. This is the Sabbath, and I'm like, "Why are you doing that?" I'm also not to do that. But then I'm passing by on my way to my job. So I have a beam in my eye, like I'm working like a full-time job on the Sabbath while this person's just fixing their car. That is what that's talking about. Like if I have this like huge thing of mine, not to go out of my way to go on something for something small. Even though we're both doing the same sin, it would not be wise of me to be hypocritical and be like, "Hey, quit that," even though I'm doing something of the same sin, but much, much more. If that makes any sense. Verse 5, "Thou hypocrite, first first cast out the beam of thine own eye, and then thou shalt see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye." So again, the same concept applies here. So let's say now what's a good one? Yeah. Okay. So let's say now I'm preaching for following the law, just the law in general, like the law that the government passes. I'm preaching, "Hey guys, listen. So the Bible says to listen to those who have authority and rule over you, so you have to follow the law." And so let's say I've never broke the law, right? I've never broke man-made laws. And so when I preach that, I don't have that mote in my eye, so I can clearly see to get the mote out of my brother's eye. If that makes any sense. So I worked on my problem first. I fixed that. I stopped breaking the law. And then I moved on to help other people stop doing that. So, horrible example here, but let's say if I'm like a crack addict, right? It would be bad for me to go up to someone who is smoking cigarettes and say, "Hey, don't do that, that's bad for you." I have a log in my eye, because then I'll be a crack addict. And I'm coming up to someone who just has a piece of dust in their eye, just smoking cigarettes. I'm like, "Hey, quit. That's bad. Don't do that." Like, no, what? So, if I stopped smoking crack in this scenario, and then I went to the guy who smokes cigarettes, I'm like, "Hey, dude, that ain't good for you," that'd be called for. That wouldn't be too bad. So, cast out the dust that's in your brother's eye after you take out the log that's in yours. If you're a crack addict, don't get on to someone who's smoking cigarettes. Verse 6, "Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn again to rend you." Again, like I said, rend in this context is meaning like to tear, to attack, right? So, a second. Okay, so there's more here. "For everyone." Okay, whatever. This is a different. So, okay. So this is talking about going. So as you know, the Bible gives clear instructions for us to spread the gospel. So why does it say here, give not which is holy into the dogs, not they cast your pearls before the swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again to rend you? This is not a fan. I'm using my famous armrest. Slam hard about on it. But it's just talking about here because people we know blatantly just won't accept the gospel. So it's not that they can't, because everyone can, but not everyone will. Is the issue. It's a sad issue, but it's the issue. Not everyone will. Everyone can, not everyone will. And it's talking about the people who won't. People who you know won't. People who you know that if you mention Jesus around them, they will try to fight you. They will get angry with you. They will throw fits, and they'll just be horrible to be around, right? So what it's saying here is, don't waste your time on those you know that you can't help turn to Jesus. That's not saying that no one else can. That's not saying that you try to get that person to help. That's not saying not to pray for them, right? Go ahead, pray for that person, right? Pray that God will find someone who can teach them the way, even if you can't, because I found that stuff out for myself before. There's some people that I can't evangelize to. There's some people I can't tell about Jesus. They won't hear it. But if I pray for them, I pray that the Lord will send them someone that they will listen to, right? So know who you can and cannot talk to about Jesus, because there's some people out there who will try to fight you over it. Pray for those people. So verse 7 says, ask and it shall be given you, and ye shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. Now it says ask and it shall be given you. People, I've seen them take that out of context, meaning no matter what you pray for, God's going to give it to you. That's not exactly how that works. From what I'm seeing, I believe that this is referring to salvation. It says, ask and it shall be given you, seek and ye shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. This describes salvation, because as we know, salvation is by faith alone, right? And we must go to Jesus. It is a personal thing between me and Jesus. My salvation, it's just me and Jesus. It's not between me and Pastor Billy Joe. It's not between me and my brother. It's not between me and this bookshelf beside me. It's between me and Jesus. Alright, it's a personal thing between me and Jesus. It is a gift from God that cannot be taken away. And people say, well, if God has unlimited power, if God is Alpha and Omega, if He is like omniscient, can He not take that away? Yes, He. I would say no, because the Bible describes God as a good God, as a just God, and a moral God, and a loving God, and a caring God. And we also know that God cannot lie, right? We know that God cannot sin as well. He's perfect. He's perfect in all His ways. He's a perfect God. So He would have to steal in order to take salvation back, right? It is a gift from God to you. So if you accept Jesus, you cannot get unsaved. There's no such thing as being unsaved. Or I was saved once. Like I heard that sometimes. I'll ask people like, hey, are you saved? And say, yeah, I was saved at one point. No. That's not how that works. You either are or you are not saved. Right? You've either accepted Jesus or you have not accepted Jesus. There's, oh yeah, I've accepted Jesus, but now I'm no longer a Christian, but so now I guess I'm just doomed to go to hell. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. Once you accept Jesus, you're always with Him. He's always there. You are always saved. You are permanently saved. Your name is written in the Lamb's Book of Life, and it cannot be erased. It's a permanent marker. Alright? God's not going to go in there and just rip your name out because you did one foul deed. I do foul deeds every day. and He has written my name out of the Lamb's Book of Life. I know I'm saved because Jesus Christ said so. Alright? My salvation cannot be taken away, no matter what happens to me, no matter who tries to take it from me. It cannot be taken away. It is written permanently in the Lamb's Book of Life. Alright? So, I believe verse 7 here is talking of salvation. You ask and it will be given to you. So come to Jesus. You knock on that door. He'll answer it. He will come to you. Alright? Seek and you will find it. Okay? Verse 8. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth. To him that knocketh, a door shall be open. Again, that's exactly what I just said. Like you will, if you go to Jesus, He won't refuse you. If you truly believe in Him, He will not refuse you. You have to actually go to Jesus. Don't go to yourself and think you're talking to Jesus. Be like, hey Jesus, let me in. But you're only talking to yourself, right? You're not doing it because you want salvation. You're doing it out of pride. Don't do it out of pride. Don't do it like that. You have to do it out of humility, out of love. See, the thing is, so Jesus says at one point in the Bible, He said that it is easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of heaven. So I studied that for a little while. I didn't quite understand that because I imagine the eye of a needle, as you know, the needles used for sewing and like the little tiny hole there. I was imagining. So I was thinking, Lord, how's a camel going to get through that? But then I studied, and the eye of the needle was referring to a gate beside the main gate of a city that they would let the camels in on. And the camel, they would have to let all their packs off. You'd have to drop everything. You'd have to get on their knees and go through the eye of the needle, the smaller door, if you will, the straight and narrow, as Jesus calls it. You have to get on your knees and then go through. You have to drop everything like the camel does. And so when Jesus says it's easier for a camel to get to the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get into the kingdom of heaven, He's not saying it's impossible, because camels get through the eye of a needle, but it's hard. It's hard. They have to drop everything. They have to humble themselves. You see, if a camel doesn't let go of his cargo, he cannot get through the eye of the needle, and he cannot enter into the city unless the main gates are open. But the main gates won't be open. You have to go through the eye of the needle. Jesus is the eye of the needle. He says no one can get to the Father except through Him. So you must accept Jesus. You have to go through Jesus. There's no way around it. You can't knock the walls down. You can't go through the main gate. You can't wait your way out. It's not a war of attrition. You can't sit here and wait for Jesus to just open the main gates for supplies and then just rush us out, "Ha, I'm here." You can't do that. You have to trust in Him, and you have to humble yourself. You have to get on your knees, and you have to enter in through Jesus. He's the only way to the Father. You have to humble yourself to get to Him. Now it says here, verse 9, "Or what man is there of you, whom if his son ask a bread will give him a stone? Or if he ask a fish, will he give him a serpent? If ye then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them which ask Him?" So, Jesus here, He knows we're evil people. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a good person. I'm not. I'm evil. But I am a sinner saved by grace. And so what Jesus Christ is talking here, He's talking about the good gift of salvation. So let's say if I go, actually here I have an example right now. So this computer that I'm recording on, so I asked my mom for it, and she gave it to me, right? And she is a human, right? A flawed human. So if a flawed human can get me a gift such as a computer, imagine what a perfect God can get me. He can get me eternal, unerasable, unwavering salvation, right? I went to him and I asked for it. Alright, I asked and I received. I knocked and the door was open. Alright. So I sought it out and I found it. Okay. I asked for that gift and he gave it to me. Alright. Because he's not evil. He's not going to give me a stone when I ask for something else. Alright. He's going to give me what I ask for, and I asked to be saved. Alright? And you too can ask to be saved. Alright? You can ask for your name to be written in the Lamb's Book of Life. You truly have to believe on Jesus Christ. Go through Jesus to get to the Father. Alright? You ask for that good gift, and it will be given to you. Alright? That free gift of salvation that cannot be taken away. It will be given unto you. Now, verse 12, therefore all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them, for this is the law and the prophets. Hold up, let me reread that. Alright, so it says, therefore all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them, for this is the law and the prophets. So this is the do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Alright. So let's say if I would like for people to be nice to me. I wouldn't be nice to other people, right? I can't go around and act like a meanie and expect people to be nice to me. That's not how the world works. If I want people to be nice to me, I have to not be meanie and have to be nice to people. Right. Verse 13. Enter ye in at the strait gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, few there be that find it. So Jesus is that straight way. He is that narrow gate. Alright. You must go through him. And it says, and few there be that find it. Now why is there so few people that find it? Why is that? It's because, as we see, it says, seek and ye shall find. It's because they don't properly seek. They're told of this gate. They're told of this eye of a needle, and they're told this, and they're like, wow, that's cool. I don't care. You have to actually seek this stuff. You have to seek Jesus. You actually have to go out of your way and find him. Jesus gave you free will for a reason. He wanted you to find him by your own will. He didn't want to grab you and pull you toward him against your own will, because he's a loving God and he supports your free will. He wants you to have free will. So, using your free will, you should accept Jesus Christ. He gave you the free will, so use it to find him. Alright? He gave you a map, which is the Bible. Use it to find him. Read about him, study about him, and find him. Pray to him. Accept him as your personal Lord and Savior. Alright, I'm back. Sorry, I paused the recording. I went and got some water. So, as I was saying here, because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Few there be that find it, because you must go out of your way to find it. People don't want to go out of their way to find it. People don't want to do that. That does not concern them. I'm back again. Sorry, I had to pause. As I was saying, people don't go out of their way to find it. They have this free will that God gave them, but yet they won't use it to find him. They have a map here, the Bible. The Bible, the Holy Bible. It is their map to find Jesus, yet they won't use it. because being confronted with Jesus confronts them with all they've done. Because when you go to find Jesus, Satan's going to come trailing right back after you. Every time you go along and you start to go find Jesus, here comes Satan. And so as you're going, he's going to try to intervene. He's going to try to stop you. He's going to come following right along behind you. And they don't like that. No one likes that. I didn't like that. But as I went to go find Jesus, and Satan came along, and he started following me, and he started trying to intercept me, push me out of the way, and fight me, I gave in. But not to Satan, but to Christ. I gave in to Christ. Because I was battling Satan, and I realized I could not battle him alone. Because I didn't have the armor of God. In Ephesians 6, it gives us the armor of God. One of those pieces is the helmet of salvation. And I was currently on my way to get that helmet. Right? And so I was fighting without a weapon. I was fighting without armor. And it sucked. So I went and I got the armor. Alright, I got it. Now, when Satan comes to me, I wield the armor and the sword and the shield. Maybe next video I'll do a study over that. But they get tired and weary and weak. They refuse, because any time they make a step toward it, they get fought back. And another thing is that they realize that there is a higher power, and they don't want to answer that. They don't want to accept the fact that there is a higher power, and they must confront that. And they must come to that. Their morality comes from somewhere. Morality isn't just this vague thing that just appeared and humans just evolved morality. If that was the case, every person would have different morality, and your morality would be based on your genetics, and it's not. As we know, it's not. Nature doesn't take over in nature versus nurture. 9 times out of 10, it's nurture. But for some reason, even despite nurture and despite nature, there is this other inherent law, this inherent path that we must follow. This, what is right and what is wrong, it's inherent in all of us, despite anything, despite nature and nurture. There is an inherent good and bad. Murder is evil. Taking the life of another is wrong. We all know that. Taking what is not ours is wrong. We all know that. It is a fact, because it is a moral law descended from above, given to us by God. God says in the Bible that His law is written into our hearts. So that is solid evidence that we have an inherent moral compass in us. And some would argue, what about sociopaths and psychopaths? They can't quite tell morality. But I raise this. There's always Satan. Satan will always interfere. Yeah, they have their moral compass, but Satan probably grabbed it and hit it with a bat, but it's still there. It's still there. There's no getting rid of that inherent morality. And sociopaths, while they might not understand how they make others feel, or they might not have total empathy as another person might have, but empathy is also on a spectrum for other people. Like, I might have less empathy than you might have less empathy than me. And just because a sociopath might not have a high level of empathy, and their empathy levels are super low, does not mean they don't have a moral compass. They have a moral compass, and it's engraved into their heart, like it's engraved to mine, we have a moral compass, and morality comes from God above. And so it says, and few are the way, and few there be that find it, referring to the straight gate, which is Jesus. It's because they know they have this moral compass, they know it comes from somewhere, and they don't want to face that somewhere. They don't want to face that, because when they face that, then they'll actually have to follow this moral compass that they have. And once they realize that their morality comes from above, they will be forced by their moral compass to acknowledge that they must follow the Bible. And they don't want to do that because it goes against what they like. It goes against all what we would call human nature. It goes against that, right? It is human nature to steal, right? But it's our moral compass that says no. That moral compass comes from above. That nature, that flesh, that is a byproduct of sin, the sin that Adam and Eve committed in the garden. It is a byproduct of that. That is the nature. That is the flesh fighting the moral compass, the law engraved in our hearts from above. They're constantly at war. Our spirit and our flesh, they're constantly fighting. Now, verse 15 says, "Beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves." Alright. So, the Bible warns constantly, all throughout it. New and Old Testament, it warns against false prophets and false teachers. Why is that? Well, because if someone comes to you and they're telling you something that's false, you obviously don't want to believe it. You wouldn't want your child believing something that's wrong, that's false. So God, being our Heavenly Father, warns us against people like that. He gives us a book. It is the Bible. He gave us that. He said, this is the truth. Follow this. And what is outside of that, what contradicts that, don't follow that. Now, there are many false prophets. Many. Obviously, way too many for me to list. But you can recognize them by their blatant disregard of biblical concepts, or their contradiction of biblical concepts. Such as, I'm going to give an example, Mormonism. They believe that they have the, I believe it's like the Second Testament of Jesus Christ or something like that, and all these other, like the Book of Mormon. They have this, but it goes against what Jesus said. A bunch of this stuff in it. I can't get into the specifics now. But the Bible says Jesus is the same today, yesterday, and forever. So how did he say that this thing, and then later say this thing? Don't make no sense, does it? See, Jesus is the same, always. They will try to paint Jesus in a light that he was not. They will say, oh, well, he said this, and this. When in reality, now the question arises, why would Jesus do one thing and do another? He doesn't. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. So that's how you can tell false prophecy. False prophets. They'll tell you false things about Jesus. You always check what their stance is on Jesus. If it's not who Jesus says he was, if it's not that he was God, if it's not that he was the Christ, if it goes against what Jesus said in the Gospels, then it's wrong. Alright. Now, moving on. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes, or thorns, or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Therefore, by their fruits ye shall know them. Again, talking of the false prophets, you can put them through this list, and you can tell by their fruits, by what they say, if they're a false prophet or not. You go by what they say about Jesus. If they contradict what Jesus said, if they contradict what Jesus said about himself, false prophecy. Don't listen to it. 21. It says, Not every one that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say unto me that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name have done many wonderful works. And I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. So, let's talk about it. So, I've always struggled with that. I've always thought, what? I thought that when you called out to Jesus, you're saved. My bad. Whoops. But Jesus is saying here, not all that say Lord, Lord's going to be entered into the kingdom. Why? Well, listen to what the people say. They say, many will say unto me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we, referring to themselves, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name have done many wonderful works. Now, while these people have done these things, and while yes, they might have actually done these good things, and while yes, they might have actually been really good people, they're relying on themselves. You see, they're not saying, Lord, Lord, have we not believed in you? Lord, Lord, have I not asked to be in the kingdom with you? Lord, Lord, have you not wrote my name in the Lamb's book of life? They say, Lord, Lord, have I not done all this? Lord, Lord, look at what I did. Lord, Lord, I've done a lot. Not Lord, Lord, you done a lot. It's not about what we do. It's about what he did on the cross. You know, it's not about what I do right now. It's about what he did. Right? So, like, you can't say, Lord, Lord, what about what all I done? You have to say, Lord, Lord, look what you done. Look what you done, you know? It's not about what we do. It's about what he did. That I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. Iniquity meaning evil. Because they don't believe on him. They're not clean of sin. They are workers of iniquity. They are not saved by grace. They have attempted to be saved by their own works, not by the grace of God. They have relied on themselves solely and their works solely to get them to heaven, but yet it doesn't work. See, I said this at my church one time. I said, if we relied solely on our works to build us a stairway to heaven, my stairway would not be good enough, would not be high enough to even get me up on this pulpit, right? Because no matter how hard we try, we cannot be good enough to enter into the kingdom of heaven. That's why Jesus had to die for us, because we are not good. We are sinners. Sin cannot coexist with God. Jesus Christ has cleaned us of that sin, that has tainted our soul. He's cleaned it with his own blood. All right, he took on the wage of sin. He paid all that for us, so we wouldn't have to. All right, not that we could rely on our own works and say, "Hey, look what I did. Let me in. You know, here's this big key that I crafted." No, we have to do what the camel did. We have to get on our knees, humble ourselves to God, go through Jesus to get to the Father. That's what it's about. Therefore, whosoever heareth these things of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man that buildeth that build that bruh, which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. Jesus is that rock. They've built their foundation on Jesus, right? They haven't built. Ooh, my back. Ooh. Oh yeah, that felt good. But they haven't built. Ooh, that felt real good. They haven't built their foundation on all the work they did. You know, they didn't do that. They built it upon that one rock, that single rock, which is Jesus Christ. They built it upon that rock, and upon that rock, their house sits, and when the winds come, it's steady. It doesn't move. It's there. But many people will try to build their house, their salvation, upon all of their works. These tiny little works. They're nothing but a grain of sand when compared to the rock that is Jesus Christ. And it says here, and everyone that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not, again referring to his instructions of salvation, and doeth them not, shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand. That foolish man is the man who heareth, who doesn't follow Jesus. All right, the one who's told to seek and he shall find, but he doesn't seek and he doesn't find. All right, someone will point him in the right direction, or even show him the light, and they'll say, "Look, upon that hill, you go up there. There's food," but they won't. They want that hill to come down to them. It's not going to work like that. You have to go to the hill. You have to go to Jesus. You can't wait. It's not a war of attrition. Jesus can wait for eternity. You can't. You don't have eternity. But you can get eternity if you believe in Jesus. Now it says, and the rain descended, verse 27, and the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. Because they built their house upon the sand. The many, many works that they've done, they built upon that. Imagine this is the sand, it's floppy, and they build their house upon, there it goes. And great was the fall of it, because they built it upon what they did, not what Jesus did. They built it upon themselves, not God. And now I'm going to go back a little bit to verse, I believe it's 22. And many will say unto me that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? One more grain of sand. And in thy name have cast out devils. One more grain of sand. And in thy name have done many wonderful works. 7,000 grains of sand. But 7,000 grains of sand is not as stable as a rock. All those works, all the stuff they did, even if it was in Jesus' name, is not equal to the one thing he did, which was die so me and you could live. He died so we could live. That one work is greater than any that any human has ever done, ever. All the works of humanity combined, all of the grains of sand in the world, in the universe, every atom could not compare to the one work of Jesus Christ. We must build our house upon that work, not the many grains of sand that we've made throughout our life. And it came to pass, when Jesus had ended these sayings, and the people were astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one having authority, and not as the scribes. So Jesus, he said these things with total confidence, because he knew what he was talking about, because he is our Lord and Savior. He spoke with authority, because he is the only true one with authority. He is the only true king. We have no king but Jesus Christ. Okay. This is, and they were astonished by these things. People, when you read them this stuff, they'll be taken aback. They'll be like, what? But you have to break it down. Like you break down a rock into multiple pieces of gravel, just as I've done. You must slowly work through it. You must chew the meat before you swallow. You can't just read the whole chapter and expect to understand it just like that. You must read it, then go back and overlook it. Alright? One look through, if I stopped right after I read it, you probably won't understand anything. But as I go through and I break it down, not as David broke it down before the Lord with all his might, but as you break down a rock into gravel, in order to get the pieces of gravel, you must break down the rock. Alright. Now, God bless you all. Haven't seen the video. Probably gonna upload another one later. Maybe go over James. I don't know. I'll look into it.